Oh, okay, good.
Mental health is something that today most people are experiencing and don't realize it's as impactful as it is. Like right now, a lot of you who are operating out of gyms, people who are professionals in the school systems, parents, they're all dealing with it, but they don't really understand the degree that it actually is. And that's what our conversation is going to be about today. I know you guys are typically hearing us talk about build your own brand identity and all of those things, but there's just some shit that just comes before that today. And when I
Sure.
want to get into this discussion, it really comes from a soft place, because remember when I always would say, and then I will introduce the other topic in our co-host, that when I say that there are four stages of life. First, there are the things that you set out for a goal, and then that allows you to hit that mission, and your mission drives you to your vision, and your vision will lead you to your quest, and that's what you're here to do. That's what God's purpose was for you here. And so with that being said, building businesses, helping others, those are the things that are our goals, so we can get to our vision, which is being able to touch people all around the world and help you get to a certain place in life. Because if that happens, then what we are here to do as far as our quest will be to get that person from that place that they are in, that dark space. And mental health is one of the things that I know trigger me. I want to make sure that that's what's going on. So with no further ado, we'll get into the conversation of what can you do right now if you have kids, whether you're their guardian or if you're mentoring them or if they're your children. What steps and phases can we do to make sure that this isn't going to happen to you? And before we get started, Stacy, congratulations and
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, I am so honored to be here today. This is something that is so important to the two of us. And I know a lot of the folks that are in our immediate circle, especially those who are working with youth in some way, shape, or form, you
Yeah.
can't escape this topic. And all of us are in a position to be able to impact someone's life, their mental health in a positive way. So that's what we want to take some dedicated time and talk about today.
Thank you so much. We will get into what is it that you can do? What are some of the signs that people can see in their children, right? So, one thing that I do know is I had a great conversation with one of our coaches who's in the school and actually has gone off and become very, very important in the sport of boxing,
Yeah.
and has gained a vice presidential positioning up in the state of Georgia. And that is just like so much affirmation about what our actual vision is to
Mhm.
touch people in a place that they can serve their purpose here, and that's what we've been doing. But in the conversation, there was a discussion basically about something that he'd recently experienced in the state of Georgia. Two kids who were actually competitive athletes
Mhm.
were found. It's just sad. They
Mhm.
both had killed themselves 1 week apart.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but
Mhm.
I can't imagine experiencing something that you can't experience. You can't forego that vision. You can't imagine what those parents feel like
Mhm.
and what their child had to feel like to do something like that. But today, where you have so much in so much emphasis placed on who you are,
Yeah.
what you have, the success that you've gotten the opportunity to take part in, and it's misleading.
Yeah.
It's misleading.
Yeah.
And today I want to challenge all of those people who have the opportunity to be in front of people, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a coach, parent. We want to help give tools that will help you work directly with your individuals closest. So there's something that over the past decade that I had done research on, because it's kind of where I am in life, right? And it's the connection, the communication. So I started this thing to get kids off of iPads and off of gaming systems and
Yeah.
off of their phones,
Mhm.
YouTube and TikTok. And that initiative was to use boxing to connect
Yeah.
using using life skills and communication and teaching particular skills like communicating with adults, being able to address situations that they may be confronted with,
Mhm.
coping skills, and learning how to go out and develop confidence, right, Stace?
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, you and I have witnessed a lot of this together, and it was something that we were drawn to take what we've been doing in the sport and bring it down to the family level,
Yeah.
the actual child. And I want to put, if you don't mind me taking just a moment, I want to put a framework and some context around this generation that we're talking about. We hear, we're Gen X, right? You and I are Gen X. The
Yeah.
real generation that we're talking about here is Gen Z. And a lot of people don't understand the breadth of who Gen Z consists of. And that is, for all of you guys who don't know, just tuck this in your pocket, put it front and center, really, and understand that Gen Z are ages 12 to 27. 12 to 27. So when you look at that age group, and if you look at the United States, that's in that age group or age bracket of Gen Zs, that is 69 million kids. All right. When you look at Gen Z across the globe, that's at almost 2.5 billion people that are part of Gen Z. So I just wanted, like, when you see the numbers, we always say men lie, women lie more, numbers don't. These are the hard, cold facts of how many people are in this demographic and who specifically we're talking about today. That it's not to say grown-ups don't have their own mental health struggles, because we know that they do. But
Hmm.
looking at these kids, 12 to 27 is what we're talking about. And just the enormity of what it is that we have in front of us to be able to help this generation, this Gen Z out.
It's
And
crazy. You got to think about this. Like we had Atari, we had PlayStation 1, we had all of these Sega Genesis, we
mhm,
had all of these, the asteroid games, Donkey Kong, Mr. and Mrs. Pac-Man, Mario Brothers. Like over the course of time, there's been such a progression in Gen X, and Gen X was introduced Apple. That came with our generation. Hip hop came with our generation.
yeah,
Cool people came with our generation, to make light of the situation, but it's definitely not a light situation. All of the things that were epic in our history started right here in this time frame that we witnessed, right? But these individuals were born into social media.
yeah,
That's their norm. They
mhm,
are more likely to pick up the phone and watch something all day than ever pick up a remote control to a television, because that is almost like the newspaper.
true,
It's prehistoric.
yeah,
And what is it that we have put into place that all gym owners can take part in and contribute into how to denoise this clutter that's going on and these voices that's going on in our kids' heads?
yeah,
Because I know when you start to really ask questions, they start to wonder, first, are you just trying to be nosy, or do you have conversation for me? So
yeah,
what I did to think about, Stacy had developed the program Box to Be Me for young females.
yeah. It's great. Yeah.
And it's super. I think, like I said, it should be dealt out on a political level. It should be
Yeah.
no school system without this program.
Thank
It's
you.
second to none, and it's educational. It's empowering for young girls who are
Mhm.
who are wanting to understand how to be women and how to deal with things. And also, they can kick some ass now because
Yeah.
they know how to defend themselves, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, we can teach the guys how to defend themselves, but they have to build confidence. The gym isn't a place, or school isn't just a place where you do skills and drills and think and hope that maybe the message will land that if you win matches, that you'll have confidence. That is actually the opposite. That's where more pressure comes on you to do that again.
Yeah.
And therein lies the issue where most people think winning comes with so many accolades, but the trophies and all of those little things that make us feel accomplished temporarily, very temporarily, aren't the things that fix us internally.
Yeah.
Right. So these kids who committed suicide actually were winners. They
Yeah.
had just won. They weren't losers. Right.
Hmm.
This is our reality. So what is it that I had to put into play during COVID? After COVID, I knew that there needed to be something to get my child off of this conversation, off of the phone, off of the video games, or to just build himself up to have conversation and cope with things even in school. Have
True.
your kids or you as a kid been in school and tried to have a conversation with a counselor or a teacher, but you just couldn't find the words? Because that was me. Now, I knew that as I grew older, I was very engaging with my teachers. If I didn't connect with them over a period of time, I disengage connection.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to be most people. Get what they won't get out of themselves in a conversation. And when I table this, what my real statement is it's going to be hard to create a conversation if you don't know how to create dialogue.
Right.
And creating dialogue is going through repetition after repetition, like what I did with the program that I created. Stacy's was great, and I had to at least be great. And so having that dialogue for a trainer, a teacher to have with a child is so endearing. And the child has to literally have a manner in which they feel comfortable and they don't feel like you're just prying. And
Yeah.
so I was able to do that, right?
Hmm.
I was able
It's
to.
true. Yeah.
uh,
It's like they're not really easy. If you have kids, you know this, they think you're bugging them, they think you're nagging. But at the end of it all, you want to know, how are you doing? And to see what Eric actually put into place to be able to open up that dialogue, to kickstart it. And really, and I heard you speaking to this to our coach earlier this morning, is you're doing a whole lot more listening than you are talking. And
mhm,
one thing I wanted, as before you continue, is I wanted to create one more dot for this conversation, is that what the data is telling us about Gen Z is that these kids need to feel that their life is significant in order to achieve happiness. All
mhm,
right. So I think we all know what's kind of driving that with all of this madness of the social media and the comparison to feel significant. And so what we know to be true is that when you put something in place that is engaging with that individual, with that
mhm.
child,
Yeah.
and lets them find a true sense of significance that's not fabricated by the Jordans that they wear, how many followers that they have, that they really do find a significance about their lives, that they know how to achieve happiness on an entirely different level.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to bring that front and center.
Thank you. Is there anyone that has had a hard time communicating with anyone? I remember when I was young, I didn't know how to communicate like with my older brothers, you know, really my sisters too, because there was such an age gap. And I was a little kid and they were already like teenagers. And there was such a gap in age that there was definitely not a lot of commonalities except having same parents. And so, is there anyone that's had a hard time communicating with anyone in their family and saying something? If so, please drop that down and let us know. And rather than that, make sure you let us know exactly where is it that you're watching from
Yeah.
today. We want to know exactly where you individuals are watching from today, because it matters to us to know exactly who it is that's on this feed. But represent where you are, because the next course of conversation was, what was I able to do? So I created this thing, and I implemented it, and it was called Box and Bond. And one of the things that I realized about the program, and when a child is trying to communicate, and we're not just talking about children, we're talking about adults. We didn't get everybody knows about Gen X. We did not get taught how to talk, but we definitely would have gotten smacked upside the head if we got out of line. So we knew the rules. The last generation of the latchkey kids, we were the be all and end all in our minds, because we had things before computers and after. So we know the best of both worlds. We actually have mastered all of this stuff. And so with that, being able to walk around with all that, you got to learn how to actually divulge all this, what you know, to other people. So the communication thing was big for me. I like to have some form of posturing in any room that I'm in. So how do you give that to your children? How, when you're training people, that you can penetrate their four walls that they have up as barriers? Because sometimes we just want to see, how you doing? Good. Okay, cool. Let's get to it. Burpees, jab, hit the bag, pads. That's not how it works, right? It starts with questions and it ends with answers, and then it follows up with conversation from that one person. And so the technique that I put in place is, you'll see right here, a group of the guys that I implemented a lot of these tactics in and on, and then coached them to an undefeated football season, winning the Super Bowl, and only giving up 13 points the entire season, because I started here with these individuals. So those are the same principles that I implemented in Box and Bond. Take a look for about 30 seconds. So you guys are going to do the drill, and then we're going to test your conditioning. We got to give you at least 5 minutes for your arms to recover, so you can do the strength circuit. Who's strong? You think you're strong? So all y'all who raise your hand, you strong. All right, so when it comes down to the push-ups, all right, we got 3 people who's so strong. When it comes down to the push-ups, we're going to get 5-minute recovery. We're going to see how good. We're going to do a little bit of everything. We're going to do your stomach. We're going to do your arms. Do you? All right, so now I'm going to show you this thing that we do when we do our boxing stuff, and we get our legs with it. So it's called a box step. So you step right, and you step back, and you step here, and you step here, and then you walk 1, 2. So you go right, left, back, left, forward, forward, forward. Make a square first, right, back, hands up, left, forward. Now forward, forward, right, back, left, forward, walk, walk. Bring that smoke. There you go. There you go. 1, 2. Double up. Time. Champions.
Yeah.
Champions.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah. You see, that was just a short little collage of things that they experienced on the day that they had played, and they had a big game the next day. And so we wanted to make sure that they had a different mindset. They went into the game, they played 2 games that day and won the Super Bowl, and played against a team that was much bigger, but we were just here. And the conversations that you guys, that we had prior to game, if you just hear those, they'll almost bring chills to your arms, because one thing is for sure, when you tap into a child's heart and it's so internal, what you get out of them is just unmeasured. And those kids all grew up so much in that season. There are kids who would cry and pout and all of that and just be entitled. But by the time that season was halfway through, they knew that they were a part of something different. And before that season was over, what was something that I always say, this is going to be the greatest season that you will have in your life. And they didn't know what I meant by then. But see, I was bringing experience from the professional football world, the professional world of boxing. the professional mind games and understanding how to communicate in a different kind of way that no kid at that age would have ever experienced. And they don't understand fully the vehicle that they were actually riding on. But at the beginning of the season, I told them that this is going to be the greatest season that you guys have ever experienced in your life. And after the season was over, I made them all sign a football with their names and their date and the date. And that football is in a closet right now, and we're putting it in the front in a case. I think we might have already done that. But the reason why is because I equipped them with something that will always burn inside of them. So it's up to you, coaches, who will have those kids next, right? Figuratively speaking, because you will have a group of kids again, teachers, coaches, parents. And when you equip them with this, there is something that just comes of it that you will never be able to replace. It's a seed that's planted, and that seed will come up, and they all started to get it. My child being one of them that realized what I was saying that entire time, that you're going to have the greatest season. The next year, I didn't coach that team, and boom, the inevitable happened. Not a lot of wins, not a lot of anything else. The exact same team. It's just understanding when you implement these other things, it's tactical because it works and starts from the inside. And I don't know what your ability is, but I know you're great. The only thing that you need to do is to really learn how to tap into that thing. Because I was challenged many years ago by a very, very wealthy man, a very, very successful man, and someone who understood how to be on this planet. And he said to me, I know you're great at what you do, but how do you know what's different about you? And I had to think about that. And that's what I'm experiencing with a lot of coaches and stuff. And I'm saying, who is it that what are you great at? What is the thing that you're selling to people at your gym? They're just not coming. What is it that they're coming for? You can't say boxing. So when he asked me that, I didn't know how to respond. And then I realized everything that I focus on has nothing to do with what's visible on the outside. And so I realized that I train the elements of the human body that are invisible to the naked eye. And that was the difference. I train perception. I train internal things that aren't visible to the physical eye. And that was what I specialized in. Mindset, mentality, the algorithm of a fighter, things that supersede what you're looking at, the biceps, the abdominals and thighs and glutes, things that people focus on. I never did. I stopped focusing on that. So Stacey, I'm sorry for taking the floor.
No,
I just hope that story would be advantageous for them to receive.
For sure. And that was a great group of young fellas. And over the years, we work with a variety of youth. We've got the teenagers who really have, a lot of stuff and responsibility coming in front of them. And I know how committed you and I are to being able to do what we can to serve this Gen Z, but then also support our coaches and trainers that are in boxing, because you are in a prime position to be able to directly interact with these kids, to be able to start real conversations and be able to identify warning signs of something deeper that this kid may be going through.
Yes,
because like Eric said, these young men who recently took their lives, they were by all standards, they had just won, they were winning. And so it just goes to show you, because even as adults, how many times do someone, they ask you, how you doing? And you're like, oh, I'm fine. And deep down, you're just had a rotten day. We have to remember these kids are humans too. And the pressure that is on them enormously, that they put on themselves, that their parents put on them, and then what school puts on them and social media is crazy. And I wish I could find right here in the moment. I'll have to do it on another stream that we do. One of the exercises that I do in Box to Be Me on this one particular day, I had the girls write down their biggest challenge that they're dealing with right now. And the academic pressure is insane.
Crazy.
Absolutely insane for kids these days. I know when it comes to doing homework at night, I feel like I'm going to school again and I'm having to figure some of this stuff out. So, to know that as trainers, as boxing trainers and gym owners and coaches, and I know a variety of people are watching us right here, right now, is to be dialed into the youth, be dialed into this Gen Z. Because I know together, if we all really know how to start real conversations and really be able to identify the signs and the signals, that we're able to really impact lives and have them stay here, because the old adage is it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And we all know, because we're from the training world and the medical side of things, we know that that brain is not developed yet to be able to go through all of the thinking and thought processes and decision making and analysis that we as adults do. So they need us. So that's kind of my 2 cents today. And I know that we'll be speaking more to this and how to be equipped with the tools that you need in the gym to be able to help this situation.
Yeah,
This is
I just want
totally
people to,
avoidable.
I just want people to thank you so much for that, Stacey. I do appreciate that so much for those words of wisdom and insight. It's so well received. And I just want coaches to know that I know you're doing your best. I just don't want you to think that you're doing your best by doing what you do every single day. There's time that has to be spent on digging deep into conversations with people. And so sometimes we get caught up in how good we did at a competition and how well our program looked on the outside, and that we just pulled off a crazy cool event. Everybody should love us. Everybody's not feeling what you're feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your ego could be the thing that blinds you from what's actually happening. And so I had to learn how to communicate through my son and not through my own ego. And listening is a skill set. And if you haven't struggled listening and finding particular skills that help you listen better, then you're not listening, because it's a skill. It's not normal to
Yeah.
just stop what's impulsive. What's impulsive is cutting someone off in the middle of their sentence because of what you got to say, right? That's impulsive. That's normal. That's natural for us. The development that I had to go through was to actually, when someone was talking, to tilt my ear towards their mouth. And when the words would go into my ear, I felt that it actually landed in a warm place. And therefore I could receive what they were saying, because I'm not trying to spew out words and thinking about an answer to what they're talking about. I'm literally listening and trying to extract out what they, or the point that they were trying to make. And that skill set, it takes repetition and muscle memory. Because once you get the repetition, you got to get the muscle memory. That means
Yeah.
not doing it until you get it right, but continue to do it until you can't get it wrong. So I want you guys to really challenge yourself to do a better job, ask more questions without judgmental, not without being judgmental,
Yeah.
excuse me. But having that being said, I wanted to address this because we're going to definitely do some of these exercises inside of the School of Boxing group
Yes.
and really dive into real actionable things. And I want that boxing bond program to be a part of a lot of you guys' narrative. So if any of you, wherever you live, be
Yeah.
sure to let me know where you live. But if you want to use some of this, just there'll be a link below. No, you know what? Find
This
the group. It's the Winner Circle, the School of Boxing. I'm
Yeah.
going to do some exercises in there to help you be great at what you do. And when you start implementing this kind of conversation and these things with kids, you can definitely do it with your own kids. At the same time, you can definitely do it with the group of kids that you have.
Yeah.
So do it and lean into it. And we're going to let 3 people into our group to take part in this exercise. And then what we're going to do is kick your ass out. And then you will realize that there's something bigger going on in the world than what's happening between those two doors of yours. But let
Mhm.
it be known, I'm passionate about what I do, and I don't really, I don't hesitate to check any situation if it's going to interfere with the progression and the development of a kid,
That's
a
right.
young adult,
Mm.
because I was a part of the greatest generation of kids growing up. And I took all the lessons that was necessary and applied it to things that I know are required today in order to survive mentally and psychologically, so
Mhm.
that child could be someone that's doing the exact same kind of thing, but doing it even better than what we did. So
Yeah,
hopefully that landed on you once again. Your gym, those children, your family, they all deserve a method in which learning from one another to grow. They deserve that. So be the one that bring it to you. So Stacy, thanks for helping me out with this today. I know
yeah,
we
yeah.
pivoted, but it was relevant. It was necessary.
Necessary conversation today, and it's the first of many. So, tough subject, but it's something, we're not about doing anything easy over here. So it's going to be just an incredible journey to be able to make an impact.
Absolutely. So tune in tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to get directly into some things that will also help you inside of your gym. And the conversations that we are really focusing on is help you and your children build their own identity. And
Yeah,
in the world of business, it's called brand identity. But your identity is the thing that will not fail you when everything else is failing you.
that's true.
So, with that being said, thanks again for watching.
We'll
Coach
see you
Bradley,
guys.
and I'm out.
We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, guys, be blessed. And thanks again, Peter from Belgium. Peace.
Mhm.